Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. This is Rose AJ with the Carnivore Connection coming to holla at y'all today. Today in the studio, we have Miss Deb to share her story of transformation, how life is going. And y'all, look at Miss Deb real close. Guess her age. Can y'all guess her age? Okay, because she told me. So now I know maybe she'll disclose it to y'all too. And if she doesn't, I'll pop back on and tell you her age at the end. All right, Miss Deb, go ahead and hit it, girlfriend. I'm going to mute myself and you take it away.
Hi, Rose. Thank you for having me on. Yes, I'll tell you, I'm 66 years old. Started carnivore when I was 65. August 1st, I'll be 1 year. I'm a mom of two boys and between the two of them, I have five grandchildren. Um, yeah, I found carnivore completely by accident. I wasn't looking for it, it found me. Um, yeah, so I'll start at the beginning. I've had some breathing issues as a child. I always got bronchitis. Um, when in 2017, I ended up getting a cold that I just couldn't shake for the entire year. I did 2 rounds of antibiotics and puffers, and the doctor wanted to put me on prednisone, but I refused that. My mom was on it. She had severe COPD. And as everybody, she told everybody that she never smoked a day in her life. So we're not sure why she got it as bad as she did. But at the end, she was on oxygen 24/7, dilaudid just to help her muscles relax and breathe. And yeah, wasn't a nice ending. Um, and then I've also had another family history thing going on, which was wet macular degeneration, which started when I was 39 years old. So between the two of them, I've had a few struggles, but that's not really what got me into carnivore. It was at the end of July. I had come down with some bug. And prior to that, I had been dealing with some GI issues where where I was severely constipated, and then I became very, very loose, and it just Metamucil and all that stuff just was not bulking me up, and it wasn't doing any good. So, anyways, I caught this bug at the end of July, and I was laying on the couch, and I came across Dr. Obadiah, and thought his title sounded kind of interesting. Stay off my operating table. So I listened to it, and in that video, there was talk about carnivore. So, of course, after that, I typed in carnivore and found Carrie Mann and Dr. Sean Baker and Dr. Chafee. And yeah, Dr. Ken Berry, if I didn't say him. So, yeah, I just jumped in from there. And on the Monday, I started carnivore cold turkey. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was really sick that first week. I had the keto flu, and yeah, it just wasn't a great week, but I hung in there.
What made you hang in there, Deb, in spite of that first week being so uncomfortable?
Well, I think what did it for me was obviously my stomach had emptied out over the weekend with the bug I had. But like I said, I started Monday, but by Wednesday, I actually had a normal bowel movement, which is something I had never had in the past 4 months. There had been nothing normal about what I was experiencing. It was like I'd eat food and I'd be on the toilet at least 10 times right after I ate. It just was a nightmare. And of course, with something like that, then I gave myself hemorrhoids. So they weren't pleasant. And yeah, so like I said, by the Wednesday, Thursday of that week, everything was back to normal. I thought, well, if that's changing, something else has got to give here. So I just hung in there. I stuck with the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs to start. Now I have incorporated more meats again, but my main go-to is still beef. So I do like my hamburger, and I love eggs. I buy about 3 dozen eggs a week. So, like Dave always says on his videos, he said, yeah, and they say that eating 1 egg a week is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes. Well, I got news for you.
So I
No,
think a
it's not.
lot of us would have been, having issues if that were actually true, right? Because
Exactly. There's too many people coming forward right now with all these success stories. Like reversing type 2 diabetes. Now, I guess I should explain, I do have a nursing background.
Oh,
When I separated from my husband and eventually got divorced, my goal was I worked in long-term care all my life as a personal support worker is what they call them up here. I decided I wanted to go back and get my nursing degree, so I did that. Um, but I stayed in long-term care. I really enjoy that area. But again, it also opens up to your eyes as to when residents come into a nursing home, the plethora of pills that come with them. Yeah. But when you're young, you don't think that's going to happen to me down the road, right? But oh my gosh, it could.
we're always the exception to that rule, right? We see
Ex-
what our lives could be like 30 years from now,
yep,
but we don't pay attention at 30 years
exactly.
old.
And I see that in my children now. I've
Mhm.
done this to change my lifestyle, and I look at them and I think, these guys need to do something.
Yeah.
It's like I had my children very young, so I've got a 49-year-old son.
Okay, I
So
got
yeah.
you. Yeah, so
So
I
I
was
mean,
I was almost 20 when I had my daughter, so I can relate.
right. Well, I
Yeah,
was 17, so that's a little
okay.
secret out there. But yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, by the time I was 20, I was done having my kids. But yeah, so but I see their lifestyles, and I mean, I was that way too. So I say my spiel to them, but at this point, it's just falling on, they're going to live their lives the way they want to. So, and that's fine. But at some point, they may need mom's guidance to get their health issues fixed. Who knows? Yeah. So, anyways, the Carnivore had helped cleaned up that GI within 3 days. That was amazing, and I'm still fine to this day. Um, the eyesight, did I mention eyesight yet? I don't think I have. Um, with the wet macular degeneration, which I'll explain that to people. What happens is blood vessels start growing in your eye where they shouldn't, and that just they start leaking and they distort your center vision. So my first round was a hot laser. And what I liken that to is if you had a nosebleed that wouldn't stop and they have to go in and cauterize, that's what they do with your eye. They shine a thermal laser light in and stop the leaking blood vessels. The only thing with that is it also burns a permanent hole in your eye. So, yeah. And then in 2000, well, just the year before, about 1999, a doctor here in Ontario, Dr. Patricia Harvey, she had come up with a new treatment called Visidyne, which basically does the same thing, only it doesn't burn the hole in your eye because it's not thermal. It's just light activated and it stops the leaking blood vessels. So I got a referral to her in 2000. And at that time, she was in Toronto. So I had to go down there. And she walked in the room. I'll never forget this. She walked in the room and said, "You're too young to be sitting in that chair." Well, it turned out we were only a year apart. I was a year older than what she was. So I think then I found out she also worked out of Hamilton, which is closer to my hometown. So I got to go see her there. And I faithfully saw her every 6 months, unless I was having an issue with my eye, and then it would be a little more frequently. Um, and then after the Visidyne, I think I had 3 treatments of them. And then after Visidyne, they came up with another drug. It was Lucentis, and it was an injectable. I had 1 treatment of that, and then last time that happened was in 2013. I had been under quite a bit of stress that year, and I think maybe that's why my eyes started leaking again. But I've been fine ever since, as far as the eyes go. Um,
So when you say the injectable, I know this from your other interview, but can you explain that?
that is a needle going into your eye.
Okay, plain and simple. So it's not
Yeah.
a shot in the arm, it's in your eye. And
Now, it
what's the
doesn't hurt because they freeze your eye. It just looks really bizarre with a needle coming at you. Now, sometimes it didn't happen to me. She had good aim, but it can cause black and blue eye if they hit a blood vessel. But I was lucky it didn't. And I only had 1 treatment of Lucentis. Oh, I should mention back when all this first started, and the one I had the hot laser, then the other eye started leaking, but it was too close to center. He couldn't do it because it would have burnt a hole permanently in my center vision, which I would have totally lost then. So when you lose your center vision, you lose your ability to read. You can see everything out in your peripheral, but you can't read like now when I read stuff, I have to have large font on my tablet. I have to wear reading glasses and that sort of thing. Can't drive, lost my license in 2004 because of the vision. When you're looking at the eye chart, my left eye can only see the big E at the top. My right eye gets about 2 or 3 lines down, and that's about it. So the vision for driving is gone. Um, Gotten used to it though. I mean, it's been 20 years now, so I've adapted. Yeah. So, but I was going to say when this other eye was started leaking and he couldn't do the hot laser, he gave me a cortisone injection. Now that was painful, even though the eye was frozen. The pressure from the cortisone going in behind your eyeball was unreal. Like it was painful.
You are a person that has had a lot of issues with your eyes.
That's correct. And I'm
And you,
still dealing with some, yeah.
did I recall you saying something about the pressure in your eyes being a certain number and then it going down?
That's correct. It's called glaucoma. And what happens is your intraocular eye pressure starts going up if you've got it. So mine was hitting 21 and 22. I can't remember which eye was which anymore. That doesn't really matter. Um, so they started me on drops at bedtime. And then it was still creeping up a bit. And so when you have glaucoma, you eventually look at more eye drops through the day. They're different types. So they were thinking I was going to start needing that. So I was shut. Well, then what happened was my retinal specialist, this Dr. Patricia Harvey, passed away during the Big C, and I had to look for another one. When I found, when they referred me to another one in Hamilton, he said that I might need laser surgery to open up that duct to help my eye drain, but he didn't do it. So we had to find somebody that did it. So I got a referral then to somebody here in my hometown. And by the time I got in to see him, I said to him, my eye pressure was still 21 and 22. I said, but I'm waking up in the morning from these drops at bedtime and my eyes were burning, like stinging sore. So I said to him, do you think because by now I had started Carnivore. I said, do you think I can stop the eye drops? And he said, yeah, but we'll monitor you to make sure nothing's happening. So when he wanted to see me again, I think it was going to be 6 months. I'm not sure. Anyways, he had canceled it. And by the time I did see him, it was 8 months. So when I got in to see him, and by now, of course, I'd been into Carnivore that much longer, he took my eye pressure and it was 12. So the lower the number, the better. Yes. So he came in and he said, well, I've never seen this happen where you're not getting drops to lower them. I said, what happened? And I said, well, I cut out sugar, processed food, wheats, and carbs. I lowered my carbs. I did not tell him I was carnivore. I just said lowered my carbs. And he said, well, it's working. And
Why
maybe
didn't you?
one of these days,
Why
maybe one
didn't
of
you
these
tell him?
I don't know. I guess it's that theory that doctors are going to say you did what? So I don't know. I like I said, for the most part, I see him for my optometrist, my ophthalmologist regularly. My family doctor, I haven't seen her since 2017. So I'm not sure how she would even handle this news, but I don't even want to find out. Anyhow, so he said, well, you just keep doing what you're doing and good for you, right? So I go back this October again. I do have cataracts as well, so let's hope and pray that maybe they're not growing any. I don't know. And as far as my macular degeneration, maybe they won't leak anymore. I don't know. I'm hoping carnivore and no seed oils will do the trick.
You are amazing. You are amazing, Miss Deb. That is phenomenal. So with all of that goodness in your health, it seems like it's rebounding. What were you doing prior to this? Were you doing like the standard Canadian diet? Had you tried other dietary protocols? And had you ever had a consistent way of eating that improved your health, like the carnivore diet?
Um, you're always of the mindset that, oh, I think I could probably stand to lose 20 pounds. I'll just cut back on, lower my portions. My sister's always saying, moderation, Deb, moderation. Well, she's the type of person that can do that. I can't. And because I live alone, I wasn't cooking much for myself. If I wanted something at supper time, bowl of cereal, Cheerios, mini wheats, they're all supposed to be heart healthy, right? So I would do that. But what I found with this is, yeah, I might fluctuate 10 pounds eating that way. If I could cut down, I did. If I might drop 10 pounds, that'd be good. But then winter would hit, and I'm so not a winter person. I'm in the wrong country for that. But um, yeah, so this carnivore thing, when it hit, and a lot of people saw it. They didn't see my internal stuff that was improving for me. What they saw, and I was just one of those persons that I lost weight fast. Like I dropped 38 pounds. I went from 158 down to 120, and I'm holding there
Oh,
between
you
120,
how tall are you?
5'3".
Oh my, you're a tiny lady. Tiny.
Yeah, well, when you
Okay.
when you're 158, like I look back at my photos now, I sent you a few there, and I'm thinking, yeah, I can see it. I mean, you never really notice it at the time, except that every now and again you have to buy the large as opposed to the small. But when I look back in pictures now, I go, oh yeah.
You saw it. Okay. That dramatic of a weight loss and people seeing this, are you able to talk to people if they ask you about it? Or do you go out and talk to people? Or do you let them ask you about it? How
Um,
do you?
well, let's see. I guess my friends, I'm working so hard to get a couple of them converted over. Matter of fact, we just had a very good talk about that this morning. Um, they saw my weight loss and they were more concerned that I was losing too much weight too fast. And I keep saying to them, but I'm healthy. I can do way more things now than I ever could. I've got more energy. My friend says, you wouldn't have been able to lift that last year. And I said, no, you're right. I wouldn't have. I actually helped build. He was doing an addition to his garage, and he had to bring in cinder blocks to build up the wall. And I think we had 63 of them. Well, I helped load the trailer, and I handed each one of those down to him while he placed them. So, without getting short of breath, that's another amazing thing. That's another story for you. But yeah, so they are starting to think that maybe there might be something to this. We had a really good talk this morning about it. So I'm going to be making a list of YouTube videos for them to watch and start digging in. I fed them a really good breakfast. They had my egg bites and my bacon this morning. And when they left here, they were full. And I said, you won't be hungry till mid afternoon again. You've got the
Right.
energy to fuel your work now for the rest of the day.
I love it. Look at you over there influencing people over 60 years old to do the carnivore way of life, girl.
Yeah,
That
well,
is beautiful.
I figure I'm out there cutting my grass at 66 and they've hired somebody to cut theirs. So I guess
You
there is
are
some truth to that.
leading the charge. Where do you see yourself, let's say 6 months from now, your future self, Deb?
Well, I'm staying on this path, that's for sure. I will admit, on Friday night, I did a little something that I haven't done in the entire year that I've been doing this. It was my granddaughter's birthday, so they were here, and they have a favorite cake that they love. So I made it for them. Yeah, it's loaded with sugar and carbs and crap and that. And I thought, okay, one little slice, Deb, but I mean very little, and a little blob of ice cream. I paid the price. Saturday morning, 4 a.m., bathroom visits. I
Okay.
know I just can't do that stuff anymore. But it was kind of a good reminder. It put me into focus again that that's not something you can do and why deviate.
Well,
So
you won't really know until you try it. You tested the waters, now you know, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, your sister saying that or you saying that your sister's a moderator and you're not. Had you always known that you were not a moderator, that you're an abstainer?
Yeah, because I think maybe some of that was when you've got two young boys in the house when you're starting out your life who love to eat. And I do have a passion for chips and cheesies. If I start with one, I'm finishing the whole plastic bag. There's just no, but I think that stemmed from the fact that I got to get my fair share of this, or by the time I get back to this bag, it will be gone.
I see. So
Teenage boys have ravenous appetites.
did you have any of that growing up when you were a young person, like in school or in college? Did you ever binge or compulsively overeat or have specific foods that you
Um,
honed in on?
I ate a lot of junk. I will admit that. But having said that, I was also very active. Not that I was a sports minded person, but back in my era, roller skating was the big thing. So from Thursday to Sunday night, you'd be out there roller skating and it just burnt the calories. Like, I mean, 2 hours of that constantly. And I loved it. So I think that's what kept the weight off. I was always slender. I weighed about probably 108 pounds as a teenager growing up. So, and even after the birth of my second child, um, I still maintained around 120. But then as I got into my 30s, that weight started creeping up. And then the year prior to my second partner passing away, which was 2013, so 2012, the weight really started to go on because it was getting very stressful here. He was suffering from so many health issues. And, some of those men just don't want to go see a doctor to find out what's going on. And things just got worse. And I ballooned up to 175. So on a 5'4" frame, I was, yeah, I was really starting to notice it then. And then the breathing started getting a little worse then too. But then the year that he did get sick in 2013, when he ended up in the hospital, then I was run ragged and I dropped. That was when I dropped down to 155. So I lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks. But
Wow.
that was from not eating. That was sitting in the hospital all day, chugging coffee or teas and a bagel maybe, and then getting home at 10 at night and just saying, no, I'm too tired, I'm off to bed. And that was how that weight came off. So it was not a healthy way to lose weight. But yeah.
If you look back during that time frame when it was really stressful and you were caring for your partner and you weren't eating and you lost the 20 pounds due to stress in 3 weeks, do you think that this way of life would have helped him as well as you?
Yes. What he tried doing in the year prior to passing away, he said, I'm going to start eating better. Because he was kind of like me. He'd only eat once in a while, and it'd usually be takeout. He'd come home with takeout from his work, like Chinese food and pizzas and stuff like that. He said, I'm going to start piling up on the vegetables and fruits. So I said, okay, well, back then I thought, yeah, that's probably the good thing to do. You're not incorporating enough of that. Still, the nursing mentality that we need our fibers, we need our fruits, we vegetables, we got to get back on the pyramid, our food pyramid, right? And so, yeah, he started with the vegetables, and I got a juicer, and he did that, and nothing helped. But hindsight now is he had cancer and it was spreading. So would Carnivore have helped? Quite possibly. Listen to all the ones now that we listen to on YouTube, like Jeff and that other gentleman that he's working with now, and some of these other ones that have put stage 4 cancer into remission. It's feed your body the proper stuff, and you never know what'll happen.
If somebody were flipping through their channels and they were on YouTube, who would be the first person that you would recommend that they go to to as a valued source, that you find as a valued source, that could give them some guidance and some information and even support, because their audience is large enough that they have enough content that the person can sift through.
My very first recommendation is always Dr. Ken Berry, followed by Homestead Health with Carrie Mann and everything that's going on there. And
What's up
Ken,
with Dr. Berry being the first one? I want to know. He's the man. If he wasn't married, Deb, girl, and if I wasn't married,
yep, without, and I mean, if people want to start doing this way of eating, because Dr. Ken Berry started off as keto. So if you hit his older videos, people can start from there. If you feel you have to do keto first, start with his videos, the oldest videos, and work your way up, because he lays it all out. Like he'll get you to carnivore eventually. A lot of my friends will say, well, I can't do away with the fruits and vegetables. So I finally started saying to them just the other day, actually, how do you know? Give me your reasons. How do you know? I'm not saying this to be rude, but I want to know. How do you know? I would have never thought I could have given up what I've given up, but I couldn't
tell
care
it.
less now.
Tell it, girl. Rip that band-aid off and ask the question, how do you know? That's actually a very, very good question, because we're so in the mindset with how we were raised, with society, and you being a medical professional, having a medical background, was along that line: vegetables, fruits, yada, yada,
Yep.
yada. And it's amazing, that one question, how do you know? I'm going to have to steal that. How do you know?
Go for it. That's probably one of the.
Yeah,
It just came to me the other day when actually one of
yeah,
my friends said, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I can't give up my salads. I can't. I like my fruits."
yeah.
I just looked at her and said, "Really? I'm not being rude to say this, but how do you know?
Amen,
Like, tell me."
sister. Yes.
I
And do you find carnivore, do you find this being a lot simpler? Does it improve your life, make it a lot simpler, more streamlined to eat this way, or is it more complicated?
Actually, it's way more streamlined because, like I said, I'm on my own, and lots of times I didn't know what I wanted, so it'd be a bowl of cereal, right? Or mini wheats, Cheerios, whatever, heart healthy, good for you. Yeah, right. This way now, like usually in the mornings, I start off with my bacon and eggs. I really do like that. Usually 4 eggs, 5 strips of bacon, whatever. And then I'm good till about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And whatever fancy hits me, it's down in the freezer. I just run down and get it and air fry it. So yeah,
Okay.
it's way simpler. I love chicken wings. I will take them and just season them with salt and slap butter on top and put them in the air fryer. Then when they come out, I make my own butter mayo, which I got that recipe off of Chris Cooking Nashville. Only I simplified it. I didn't want the vinegar, the mustard, and all that in. Mine is just strictly butter and egg. That's it. And so that's my dipping sauce. And I throw that on steak. I throw that on scrambled eggs. I throw it on everything. But yeah, I just picked up chicken breasts yesterday. They were on sale, but they're skinless, of course, which, oh well. I will take and I will wrap them in bacon and then air fry them that way. And my butter mayo goes on them at the end of the when I go to eat them. So once in a while, yes, I still do like my chicken.
You go, girl. And do you eat out? Do you dine out?
Yeah. And usually when I dine out, I will sometimes do chicken wings when I dine out, but that's not always optimal because most restaurants will deep fry them in vegetable oils, which I'm trying to avoid. But there's usually burgers on the menu.
Mm.
And actually, just the other night, my girlfriend and I went to a little roadhouse here in our town, and I got the double bacon cheeseburger. So she looks
Mm.
at me because I said, no bun, no toppings. Do you want the fries? And I said, yeah, I'll take the fries home. I'll give that to my friend. You can hook them up in the air fryer when he wants them. But that was all I had. Was just she brought it out and she set it down in front of me. She said, that's what you wanted? I said, perfect.
Nice. I love it. And what did your friend think?
Oh, she knows. She's
Oh,
she's still not. This one isn't 100% sure about what I'm doing is right, but in her mind, as far as the eating part of it, she sees what it's doing for me, and she said that's great for you, which
yeah.
it would be great for everybody, but Can't convince everybody.
Right, right. Okay, so give some words of advice or words of wisdom to our audience as we get ready to close out this interview. If somebody is sitting on the couch, they don't know about Dr. Berry, but they know about Dr. Berry now because you've explained that. But what advice would you give to them to to just try this way of life or whatever you would want to say?
My biggest thing now is you've got to have a why. And when I look at you, I know you're suffering from, especially when it's my friends, I know what aches and pains they have. I know you're suffering from this. You're full of arthritis. You've got neck pain. You've got shoulder pain. You've got back pain. What have you got to lose to not to try this way of life? Your why would be you're so inflamed. Can't you try to reduce it? Give it a try. 30, 60, 90 days. And I bet you find even after 30, you're willing to go the other 30. And then another 30. And next thing you know, it'll be a year.
You go. I love that. I love that. Simplify it. Would you tell them to do like you did, just throw everything out and get started, or do a weaning
Mm,
process?
I would definitely say wean. Don't.
Mm,
It was just because I had been so sick from whatever bug I had caught that weekend. I figured, what else have I got to lose?
mhm.
Everybody else, because of Dr. Ken Berry, he does have a book out there that you can download from his keto days, which tells you which vegetables to eat, which fruits to eat, which ones to avoid, and the ways to start. And these people that like some of their processed food, um, such as, okay, there's one of our stores here sells a really good shrimp, but it's got stuff in it. I said, yeah, you might think the shrimp's good, but take a look at those ingredients that are sitting on there. I bet you're going to find seed oils in there someplace because it's supposed to be a butter, but I can't see any food company using pure butter to cook them in, but I could be wrong. And then look at the carbohydrates. Don't worry about net. Don't figure out that. Look at the total carbs in that thing and try to keep it under 20.
Yeah.
20 grams a day and go from there. Don't cut your carbs out right at the start, but gradually start to lower. Some people even say keep them under 50 a day to start.
Yeah.
But
I it's kinda like the wild, wild west. They say anywhere between 1 and maybe even 150 by some people's standards, that's considered low carb, and then others straight across the board, it's the 50, that's considered ketogenic or low carb, and then others, like you just said, 20 or lower. I tried to do the tapering thing for myself, down from 4 or 500 carbs a day, whatever I was doing. I tried to keep it in the 1 to 150 range on a daily basis, but my problem was is I kept being triggered, right? So even when I
right.
went down to 50, even when I went down to 20, I tried playing that net carb game for a while versus carb game just so I could get more in. It was
Mm-hmm.
redondiculous for me, right? For me, it
Right.
was. So I always tell people you really have to know yourself. Are you an abstainer like Deb and me? Or, I mean, or are you a moderator? If you can moderate, you could probably titrate down on the carbohydrates, right?
Right.
But, whoo, yeah, wish I would have done it the route that you did. Just start and be sick for a week or two and then carry on.
Well, I
Yeah,
definitely was sick for that. Well, it was
yeah.
probably about 8 days. I mean, it was getting better towards the end of those 8 days, but and then I
Mm.
did try to cut out coffee in that time frame as well, which that probably wasn't so bright. But I think I started back on it on well, it was Monday when I started, so I think about the Thursday I started, and I still have my 1 cup of coffee a day, my first drink in the morning, but it's
My
got butter in it. I do the bullet coffee,
My dearest
so.
friend, can I share with you? Today is my first day with no coffee.
Oh
I just
wow.
had I just had my ice water with some electrolytes in it.
Have to admit that it probably is because when I get up in the morning, that's the first thing I have to have.
Yeah,
I feed
yeah,
my pets first, and then the coffee gets poured before I do
yeah.
anything else. Then the dog comes in, and then whatever else I do. I've got a vibration plate. I bought one of them shortly after because I thought maybe I could stand using that. So I do my stretch bands on it while I'm vibrating away. So,
Okay. So you have your morning routine too.
yep.
Can I ask you about the vibration plate? I was toying with that. Like I have a home gym and I'm always at the gym. I'm always busy, busy, busy. I like to stay moving, but I've never invested in a vibration plate. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what its benefits are you find?
Well, I decided to go ahead and try it. I mean, I was already into carnivore a bit when I found Bill Knott, and then watched all his issues that he had with his. Well, he didn't know what was going on. He was going for MRIs and whatnot. And then somebody on his channel had told him get a vibration plate. So I thought, okay, well, what is a vibration plate? So I got looking it up. Now, some people say for weight loss, but I no, that's not why I got it. It was more for lymphatic drainage. Um, I'm the type of person that when I travel and I fly, my ears plug up terribly with fluid. And first thing in the morning, I'm always stuffed up, or I was. I'm not anymore. But I get on that vibration plate first thing in the morning and I do the low routine, which is just 10 minutes of soft vibration. And I do lymphatic drainage while I do that. Like if you watch YouTube videos, they'll show you what to do. And one of them is under the ears where you rotate. And that now, the last time I flew, which was just back in May, we did an Eastern Canada vacation, and I had no issues, none at all. I had no fluid in my ears, nothing, and the morning nasal problem has gone as well. So I think that had a lot to do with lymphatic drainage. So I'll keep that up, and then usually in the afternoon I do one of the pre-programmed ones, which really gets you. You'll know it's working when you start to tingle and burn. When
Ooh.
your legs start to feel a tingling and a burning.
So a vibration plate is you stand on it and it vibrates, and this plate has different settings, is what I'm
Yeah,
understanding you to
yeah.
say?
I just got the little mini waver. It's called the Life Pro Mini Waver. Some
Life
of them
Pro.
will tilt and oscillate as well, so you're kind of moving back and forth as well as vibrating. But
Mm.
it's actually very stimulating. You get off of there and it's like, that felt good.
And you do it morning and night?
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
morning's
Okay.
always the gentle one because I do all the lymphatic, the upper my upper body part for the lymphatic drainage.
Okay. I will go on Amazon. Did you order it on Amazon by
Oh yes,
chance?
I did.
So I'll go on there and check it out. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, like you
Uh,
can. There's different models. I mean, obviously, Bill Knott. He's got the. Well, they gave him one to try, one of the more heavy duty ones. Mine's
sure.
just the
Sure.
smallest model you can get, but that was all I needed.
Okay.
It does the
Okay.
trick.
And it sounds like you're pretty active, walking your dog and doing different things and going on outings with friends and stuff.
Yep.
Is there a form of exercise that you prefer over anything else?
Um, I guess the walking. I will admit sometimes I do shorten our walks a little bit because I've got other things to do in the day. But she enjoys it, and as long as the weather's not too cold, like I said, I'm not a huge winter fan anymore. So,
Yeah.
I I had an episode a few years back. I had two bigger dogs. This one I've got now is just a little 16-pounder, so she's more manageable. But my two bigger ones, I was walking them, and we rounded a corner, and there was a stray dog, and this was in the winter, walking up the middle of the road. Well, my bigger dog lunged, and underneath all that snow was a patch of ice. And I went down and I tore the knees out of my jeans and I snapped my wrist back. I'm actually surprised I didn't break it. And I looked down at him and I said, well, I guess that's it for winter walks. We're not doing this anymore.
Right.
And that was the last time I walked my big dogs in the winter.
Okay. Okay. I got you. That makes sense. So, did they get into a fight or no?
No, no.
Okay.
I
Good.
think
Good.
because of me going down shocked the crap out of the
Okay.
two of mine, and they stopped and they looked back at me, and this other dog took off running. So it
Okay.
wasn't a didn't turn into a big dog fight or anything like that. But I limped back home. So
All right. Thank you. I want to say thank you, Deb, for being here with me today and having this conversation.
well, thank
You
you for
are
having
a
me,
role.
Rose.
You're a role model for us setting the trail. So, y'all, this is Rose AJ signing out with Miss Deb on the Carnivore Connection, another wonderful, heartfelt, and soulful connection.